what I thought about the music and not just say, this is what you're going to record. And he'd always said, if you don't like the song, you're going to be singing it, so you better like it.
She called herself the accident. Born into poverty, raised in a coal miner's home, and overshadowed by her famous sister, Loretta Lynn. But that's not even the craziest part, because the thing that made Crystal Gayle world famous was also secretly causing her pain for years. And the life she's living now? It's nothing like the image you remember. Before she became Crystal Gayle, she was just a quiet girl named Brenda, born into poverty in the hills of Kentucky, growing up in a house where survival mattered more than dreams. Her father was slowly dying from coal dust, her family struggled to get by, and the world already knew her only as the younger sister of Loretta Lynn. But what no one saw was the pressure, the grief, and the fight happening behind the scenes. Because the woman who would later become famous for her voice and her unforgettable hair wasn't just building a career. She was fighting to become her own person. What I thought about the music, and not just say this is what you're gonna record. And he'd always said, if you don't like the song, you're going to be singing it, so you better like it. Crystal Gayle called herself the accident, the youngest of 8 kids, born into a Kentucky coal cabin where meals were thin beans and scraps. Her father coughed black dust until he collapsed when she was 8. She spent years living in her famous sister's shadow, hearing whispers that her success was borrowed. But something changed. After decades of 61 inches of hair dragging across stages, after grief that never fully healed, Crystal made choices nobody expected. And what her life looks like now might surprise you. She wasn't born Crystal Gayle. Her real name was Brenda Gayle Webb, born in the harsh hills of Kentucky, where survival came before dreams. The house she grew up in was small, unstable, and filled with struggle. Food was never enough, comfort was rare, and hope felt fragile. Her father worked in coal mines, and slowly that job destroyed him. By the time Brenda was just a child, his lungs were already failing. Then one day he was gone. She was only 8, and something inside her went quiet. She didn't cry the way people expected. Instead, her pain turned inward. She became shy, withdrawn, and careful, learning how to look fine even when she wasn't. But life didn't stop. Her mother worked endlessly to keep the family together. And in the middle of all that struggle, one thing remained: music. Music became her escape. But there was another challenge waiting for her. Her older sister, Loretta Lynn, was already becoming a star. To the world, Brenda wasn't her own person. She was just Loretta's little sister. That label followed her everywhere. Even when she started singing professionally, people compared her constantly, judging her before she even had a chance. And for a while she tried to fit into that mold. She sang like Loretta, performed like Loretta, sounded like someone she wasn't. But it didn't feel right. So she made a risky decision. She stopped trying to be someone else. She changed her sound, softer, smoother, more emotional. Something that actually felt like her. At first people doubted it. But then, everything changed. Her song "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue" exploded, crossed genres, reached new audiences, and proved something important. She didn't need to live in anyone's shadow anymore. She was Crystal Gayle now. But her success came with something unusual. Her hair. What started as a personal decision, never cutting it, became her signature. Over time it grew longer and longer until it reached the floor. People were fascinated. It became iconic. But behind the beauty, there was a hidden cost. That hair was heavy, painful, difficult to manage, caused headaches, neck strain, exhaustion before performances even began. Still she kept it, because it wasn't just hair anymore. It was control, identity, a promise she made to herself. Through fame, pressure, and personal loss, she held on. She built a career filled with success, but also filled with quiet battles no one could see. And through it all, one thing stayed constant: her strength. Not loud strength, not dramatic strength, but quiet endurance. In her personal life, she found stability with her husband, Bill, someone who knew her before the fame, someone who stood beside her through every stage of her journey. In an industry where relationships often fall apart, theirs survived, because it wasn't built on fame, it was built on something real. Over time, even her complicated relationship with her sister softened. The comparisons, the distance, the pressure, it all faded with time. And what remained was family. Today her life looks very different. No chaos, no constant spotlight, just peace, a quiet home in Nashville, time with family, a slower, more meaningful life. Because in the end, her story was never just about fame, or music, or even that iconic hair. It was about something deeper, a girl who grew up with nothing, faced loss, pressure, and comparison, and still found a way to become herself. Not loud, not flashy, but strong in a way that lasts. Crystal Gayle's story isn't just about music, fame, or even the image the world remembers. It's about quiet strength, the kind that doesn't shout but endures. From a childhood filled with loss and struggle, to a career built under constant comparison, she never stopped moving forward. And in the end, she didn't just step out of the shadow of Loretta Lynn. She created a legacy that was entirely her own. Today, away from the spotlight, her life reflects something even more powerful than fame: peace. Because sometimes the greatest success isn't being seen by the world. It's finally becoming yourself.